Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana. Let's get into this. Hi, guys. If this is your first time tuning in, hi, hello, welcome, thank you. Get on up in here. Please follow us on YouTube at Inappropriate Radio TV. Not sure why we're not popping up, but we will. Just keep playing with it. Keep scrolling, all right? No periodic table or alien talk. However, you already know the creator came through with a message. All right. So we started our autism series on Friday, and we kind of cut into the series with topics that had nothing to do with autism quite a few times. And this evening we will be resuming. I did get some downloads, but the creator told me to go ahead and just move forward with the autism series. All right. So, autism. Okay, we did our intro, the first case, yada, 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 right? So, I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for a download. I don't usually wait for a download, but I was waiting and I got it. Well, I prostrated myself so I can get the download. Rather. And then I heard autism and allergies. First of all, let me just say that the supposed diet of an autistic person is very high vibrational. It's not a lot of refined sugars. I mean, if you looked at the diet that autistic people are supposed to eat, you would see that it's very interesting. Only because most autistic people are very, very picky with food, or they only like junk, right? So I find that to be interesting. So I'm assuming that if someone is autistic and they are eating the diet that autistic people are supposed to be eating, it might actually counteract the disorder. As far as research is suggesting, okay? Now, what makes that even more interesting is because autistic people have allergies, right? That call for a certain diet. Now, most autistic people are prone to depression, epilepsy, gastrointestinal disorders, asthma, different digestive disorders. Remember, we talked about that connection between the brain and the gut, right? Recently, and then we talked about the vagus nerve a while back, but it came back up for this series because there is a great emphasis placed on food and around food. So I think once you can master a diet for someone who is autistic, there might be a few other things that can be done to sort of balance out, everything, if you will. What I found to be the most interesting, that the first person who was diagnosed with autism actually lived past the life expectancy of someone with autism. Most people with autism don't make it to age 60, right? So the first person, we talked about him for the first day. The gentleman, Donald Gray Triplet, he actually was one of those higher functioning, as far as research is showing, if you look him up and the things that he's accomplished and done. And I would also like to add that a lot of people who have been diagnosed with autism are actually diagnosed with IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, fibromyalgia, encephalomyelitis syndrome. Is like when you are chronically fatigued. So there are other conditions that are linked specifically to autism, and then most children that die from either drowning or suicide. And before we all even get to start asking those really weird and rhetorical questions, both parents can carry the gene and pass it on. When the child is conceived, the nature in which that child is conceived is believed to have a lot to do with it. In my personal opinion, as far as what research has shown and what common sense tells me and what the Creator reveals to me, it makes a lot of sense for the mother's womb environment to be at optimum functioning status, meaning less stress is possible, eating diets that will keep the womb balanced out, being stress-free, doing the bare minimum as far as your womb is concerned, like not overworking it and stressing out your womb and different organs that are connected to your reproductive systems. These are, and I'm sorry to go off tangent, it is important to bear in mind that autism can appear to be other disorders. So it's very important to educate yourself and make sure you know the difference, okay? Now, there are different research, initiatives that aims to see the differences between autistic and non-autistic children, right? And things like eczema or contact dermatitis or different skin disorders, right, are also symptoms. And what makes all of this so interesting is that there is no one solid, cause for it. So that is a whole nother portion, because while people are trying to fix the problem that they have no idea where it came from, there's no real solution because we don't know the cause. So you can't really say what's right, what's wrong, what's good, and what's not. And I think the different conditions that are associated can kind of be, some things that will help in finding a cause. Asthma, rashes, stomach issues, really, really severe allergy conditions are all symptoms of a lack of connection with the womb, right? Even though this stuff can be hereditary, right? Manganese, nickel, aluminum, there are quite a few elements or compounds, rather, chemicals, whatever you want to call it, have been found as one of the connections between majority of the autistic cases. It is very important to do an inventory of the things that's going on. Bare minimum basic research will probably help you maintain in situations where you may come into contact with someone who has autism, right? Like stimming. If you knew that a person was autistic and you knew what stimming was, you wouldn't get worried when you see them doing like things that are odd, right? So it's very important to bear in mind that the stimming can look like anything, and it's usually done for a few reasons, mainly to keep calm in a situation. It's like a response to something that is overwhelming, or it could be how the person is recalibrating and sustaining their energy. I'm saying all of this to say autism is one of those things that kind of just sprang its way into the black community. We were always under the assumption that it was just, something that black people didn't, get diagnosed with. And then we started seeing it more and more in the community. We even believed the rumor that it was caused by inbreeding. Me personally, I still feel that there is some magic somewhere in the beginning, the middle, or the end evolving these children, because that's a whole nother story. But we did go over it, right? We went into it. So again, like we said before, when there is something that science can measure, but no one or nothing has an answer, no one or nothing can verbalize what's happening, what they're experiencing, what they're observing, right? I'm sorry, my phone rang. I got a bit distracted, but yeah, we have to remind ourselves that we're in an environment where everyone's genes are being manipulated through food, through the water, through different chemicals that are just in the atmosphere, our own stress, having access to so many electronic devices, right? And because there's no definitive answer, we can all speculate. But I think being able to find whatever is consistent across the board, across every case, will help us hone down, on how to respond to people who are autistic and how to believe, what to believe about it, how to feel about it. Because if we are in a world where so many people are being born autistic and then we're saying that they are not normal, how do we categorize that? And if they're being born at an alarming, abundant rate, then maybe we're the ones. That's it. So we have to make sure that we are fully aware of the environments, of the ways in which we engage, the ways we perceive and understand. It would behoove you to do a little research. Web.net. I know I'm saying it wrong, but there's a website that my boss gave me to be able, and just having respect for people who are born, with this label on them, because they're still human. And I'll be real, a lot of people who are considered to be autistic are smarter than whatever the hell we call normal or regular people. So I think being able to give them access to things that everyday common folk have access to will make all the difference. I think the diet will make all the difference. I think when they start learning how to function, being as educated as possible is probably our best bets. Because again, if this is something that is prevalent, then it would behoove us to have as much knowledge and information as possible. No one really likes labels. No one likes to be called mean, bad names. So it would be nice to just find out what the real differences are. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, the different allergies. But I'll end it here. I do love you all. I hope you guys are drinking your water, eating your fruit and vegetables, and sipping your own tea because it's free. Love y'all.